this has been a wonderful experience. I'm in a room with absurdly talented speakers, performers, composers, musicians, persons in the industry. And the conversation that we are about to have ties in so perfectly. You know, we just listened to DK and all he had to share. And there are many parallels, we're just giving you a preface, many parallels between Andrew's journey and what DK's current experience is. And so for many of us, entertainment means different things. If I ask any individual sitting in this room what entertainment means to you, there's a different answer. For some of us, that's going to the movies. For some, it's attending a concert. For some, it's putting on your headphones and listening to Spotify and dancing in your room. That covers it all and it's free. Maybe not your Spotify premium, but dancing in your room is pretty free. And for many people, over the past several decades, video games has become increasingly more popular and the choice of many of your children right now, because that's the culture that we live in. In my household, I live with someone who's an avid gamer. I have a deep and loving and long-standing connection with video games myself. Much to my mother's dismay, my first video game was Mortal Kombat at the age of 4. So now it's a little different. We're playing Disney Dreamlight Valley and we're building valleys and villages and making friends with my favorite characters. But for others, it's games that turn into movies like The Last of Us that we are enjoying, that we are now seeing film and video games cross over. And so I'm sitting here with someone I've known for a very long time, not simply because of his contributions to scoring or composing or production, but because of his history in the rock industry in Trinidad and Tobago. I am a alternative rock singer-songwriter. And Andrew McIntosh founded Skidnavelli. Does any of us know Skidnavelli? Are we familiar? Right, there we go. Very amazing band. He deserves that round of applause. Skidnavelli, if I'm being honest, was my first introduction into local rock music. And imagine my surprise when I found out what the name actually meant when you spell it backwards. So we're here with Andrew today, and Andrew has this long-standing relationship with music. He is a singer, a songwriter. He's the founder of SWEF Productions, meaning that he is in sound design, he's doing composing. Now he's award-winning for his compositions for advertising, and he plays a hub of instruments. As I said, founder of Skidnavelli. So Andrew, thank you for taking the time.
Whoa, introduction, yo, damn.
Yeah, thank you for taking the time to chat with us today. And for those of us who would like to hear more, share a little bit of your musical journey with us.
Whoa, well, like from day one, like.
Well, yeah.
Okay.
We know it goes as far back, if I'm correct. Is it like 7 years old?
That yeah.
Yeah.
How did you know that? How do you know about the ad awards too? Like nobody knows about those. Started learning pan when I was like 8 in St. Lucia. I arranged for a band over there and then came here. And my dream was to have my own band, my own rock band. And it took like 3 years from knowing nobody here to starting a band. And then within 2 months, we did the Pop Awards and stuff. And it just spiraled from there. And, you know, every dude's dream with his band to make it. Didn't pan out yet. Well, and that's where it's at. And then I stumbled into advertising because somebody they asked to do it left the country. And he's like, just use this dude. And now it's my bread and butter doing ads here. And so on one hand, there are annoying things that come with doing ads. It feels sometimes a little soulless because, you know, it's corporations and products and stuff. But I feel like I'm lucky to be doing music and actually living off of it to a certain extent. Because, you know, performing here doesn't really do that. And then I stumbled into a huge pyong, a gamer, and I found a site online called itch.io. I don't know if anybody knows itch.io. And there's these things called game jams. And basically, they don't reveal the topic until just before the game jam starts. It's basically a little mini competition. You get 7 days to make a game, and they give you the topic right at the beginning. And I went on, everybody knows what Discord is, right? I think, yeah. And just found a group to work with. And They didn't really do their part, and I did. But my point is, they played it on Twitch. All the games. It was Epic Games, a big developer and maker of Unreal, which is a game engine. They hold this game jam yearly, the Epic Game Jam. And some other guy messaged me privately on Twitch. He's like, "How many cookies do I have to give you to join our team?" And from there, I've just been making. We're on our 4th game now, part 2 of one of our games. And just, indie vibes, not huge publishers or anything, but I'm getting to do voice music and sound for these games. So it's not just music for games I do, it's just all the voices in the games, all the sound effects, and yeah, fun. That's where I'm at now.
And you mentioned instruments, and you spoke about pan, which is something I think if anyone who's familiar with you, that's something they would recognize as you introduce pan into your punk, your rock and punk music, and it's transcending. It's a transcending experience for that genre, and we always try to find ways to export our talent, as we've seen with DK's presentation, taking pan and putting it in a popular movie scene in a speed chase and using Caribbean drums and so on and whatnot. When it comes to instruments, you surprised me because your versatility doesn't just stop at pan or playing guitar. I was creating an album and I found out he can play the banjo guitar, and that was an interesting...
It was cheating though, it's not really a banjo, it's a banjitar.
Banjitar, right?
It has the neck of a guitar, so if you could play guitar, you could play this thing. It's sort of cheating.
So tell us, what else?
I hope I told you that.
What else can you play?
I play the banjo. Sorry, what?
What else do you play?
I mean, as a composer and trying to do music for games and film now, I don't necessarily play all the instruments, but everybody loves their plugins, right? I mean, we have to get familiar with how each of these instruments work anyway. So even if I can't play a lot of instruments, I feel I know the range and how an instrument should sound and be played due to, I'd like to say, ooh, I'm genreless, but I mean, sometimes you just have to be, right? So.
There was something you mentioned that, you're a video game pyong. Yes. And that sort of brought the passion. We were speaking about passion earlier, how important it is to love a project, to be able to contribute your heart and soul into it. And there are many of us who are aspiring in the video game field some way or the other. They've played video games their whole life. They love them. They want to be a part of it. And now we're finding out that we can be a part of it, either doing digital arts or doing music. What investments did you have to make, or what equipment did you have to acquire? You just said you don't have to play the physical instrument, but you have boards. Can you give us an idea of someone who's starting from scratch? Say I get up tomorrow and I decide I'm done with guitar. It's time to be a video game composer. What do I do? How do I start?
Why not both? Well, it's an expensive addiction, VSTs and stuff. All the composers know what I'm talking about. But I sit there and assess, do I need this plugin? Can this other plugin... Wait a minute. Yeah. This other plugin has this instrument, but not as in-depth. What? Do I need this plugin? I've sat there, I've had pros and cons lists, whatever. But there are a lot of free VSTs. There's Sound Labs. Well, is that Spitfire, right? That's Spitfire, I believe. And then, oh my God, there's this other one that has a bunch of free stuff. Sound Paint, I think 8DO. Again, the composers will know what I'm talking about. They have a lot of free stuff. Synths, drums, the Free London Orchestra. There's not a huge investment to start. And it's free DAWs. I think Cakewalk Band Labs, I think it's called. You could start there too. Spitfire, yeah. And so there's two ends of it. I mean, there is more detail in all the instruments that you can get online with the paid ones. But you can definitely start and literally open up a video and start practicing. I used to just open up a wallpaper and try to compose to that. So, and hope for the best. So you can start for free. Well, I mean, you do need the computer.
Yes,
yeah.
And so is there any particular software that you would recommend for someone who is stepping into this realm?
That's a debate, I guess. I feel like they all do the same thing. They all do the same thing. I started with Fruity Loops. You know, everybody cracked that. I eventually bought it. And then immediately I was like, recording vocals on this thing really sucks. And I switched to Studio One. And then for a while, Studio One has been sort of, again, this is a debate, disappointing me to a certain extent. And I recently, like a few months ago, switched to Cubase, and I'm loving it. So there's some stuff that annoys me.
We've got a fan in here.
Yeah, you know, the warping on Cubase. Yeah. So, and in terms of, I guess, plugins also, I mean, there's so many orchestral plugins out there. I started with East-West, and I'm still mostly, I keep going back to East-West. Hopefully I'm not talking too much gibberish for everybody here with the But yeah, so the DAW, your workstation that you use, is sort of like up in the air. People use Ableton, Cubase, Logic. I personally am not into Pro Tools. It feels very clinical. But yeah, anyway.
So that being said, we're talking about this direction of video game creation. Mm-hmm. Would you compare it to when you're creating compositions for advertising or film, or for when you enter these contests and you score a scene? Is it a similar process?
I'd say video games closer to film, of course, because these days video games is everything. It's visuals, it's sound, it's you know, you're playing a story. I think it encompasses film and music all at once, and voice and acting and just everything. So that's the amazing thing about that. Commercials. If any ad agencies in here, I'm sorry. So sometimes a little soulless. You don't get to put in a story to it. You know, the story is product. But with video games, compared to film at least, with film you are locked to picture. With games, a lot of the times you are doing the background for what's going on the screen, and that's going to just change. Well, it's just going to loop. Maybe there's you could use Fmod to add in layers of another instrument depending on how much action is on screen. But film, you're locked to what's happening on the screen. So I mean, yeah, same emotions, different method, I guess.
And you know, we were hearing just now about how we have to be open to revisions and making changes and going back. And I think anyone who creates anything, once we are collaborating, that's a painful part of the process that we just have to be okay with. We have to make that compromise for the greater good, for the benefit of the final product. Have you ever created something that you found really hard to let go of and give to someone else?
No. Give to someone else or let them have the final say on it?
That too, that as well.
There are a couple things, but it's mostly in advertising, right? Because sometimes you wonder, well, hey, you hired me for this insight, and then, but I mean, in the end, yeah, you do have to let it go. And there have been some things that have made the final cut where I'm like, oh man, that didn't need to be there. That's ham-fisted. Why'd you make me do this? But with film and stuff, a little less so. There's been times where I've worked with like more of the laymen, and they are afraid to tell me what they don't like. And I'm like, no, dude, I deal with advertising. They let me have it with what they don't know. That sounded like, nah, she's sounding too old. Just like, whoa, dude, chill. So, no, that's fine. You just have to deal with that. DK was totally right on that one. Yeah.
And in the creation of some of these compositions that you would make, did you ever make something for one purpose and then realize that you wanted to use it for something else, or ended up using it for something else?
Not really, but I think that's a me problem because you know, there's these websites like Audio Jungle and stuff where people are just putting up stuff and you can just pay for it and use it. I could totally be doing that. I should, but I find it so hard to just make music to nothing. They just put up these things. This is an action thing. This is corporate, and it's like, no, I need to see the thing. I want to see the thing and create to that. So that hasn't really happened because of that.
So you would say that the creations that you would make are very specific to the media?
Yeah.
Okay.
And except when I was composing the wallpapers, I guess I was super desperate. But as, again, DK said, the QTube, I go there a lot. They also give you completely muted videos to do sound effects to from scratch, and that's always fun.
And I have to ask this question. We know we're sitting in a room of a lot of people from the Caribbean. We want to see the opportunity and have the opportunity to have a Caribbean genre, a Caribbean sound be exported, as I mentioned before. Have you found that some people prefer, they specifically ask for that Caribbean sound, or is there an adversity toward it? Do you think that we haven't gotten there as yet, where there is that acceptance of the Caribbean sound?
For which?
For any of the content or compositions that you make, be it film or video games.
Yeah, 'cause the Caribbean sound does, just like the beach thing, you know, it does lean into that. They always think that, like, whenever I'm doing an ad, let's say, a lot of times they're like, don't put pan in it there because it's for up the islands too, right? And they feel like it might just be too Trini only.
Interesting.
And then, yeah, a lot of times too, it's come to the point where sometimes they feel like it's a little stereotypical and then they want you to lean away from it. And then other times it's like, I send in demos with me singing just to speed the process along. And then it's like, hey, you're sounding too Yankee, but that's just how I
Do you think so? So that's where I'm getting at. Do you think there's that push for westernization in our local
not
content
really.
creation?
A couple agencies in particular like hit me the stop making it. It needs to sound more local, and then it's like, but this is the product name. I can't say it like that. They need to hear the product name. I'm just pronouncing it.
I've heard you.
Yeah.
So in asking this question, there are a lot of people who are trying to weigh their options. And through this conference, we've realized that we have the world of opportunity and options that we may not have even considered. You know, we were talking before and you got a little inspired thinking, you know, I kind of always wanted to do X, Y, and Z. Maybe now is the time. Would you say that from having these discussions and from your experience as well, that this would be a sustainable career in composing for video games? Is this a sustainable career path for someone who has this dream and has this passion and wants to make something fruitful from it?
At the moment, which part though? The game thing, the film thing?
Let's focus on games since this is our
the games thing.
here. Here in Trinidad and Tobago.
In Trinidad, no, see, well, I barely know any game developers here. If anybody's here, please let me know, because I wouldn't mind. So even with the guys I'm working with now, actually it's one dude who makes the games. I wouldn't say at the moment it's not, but it'll get there. But I'm working with somebody overseas even, and it's still, if you don't have the publisher, see, you can make the game's great, unless some streamer plays it, some big streamer, or it just gets viral, because like Among Us, if anybody knows that, got viral, what, like 5-6 years later after they made it, and now, you know, millions. So yeah, at the whim of the cost of advertising, really. Last couple of games, we put it out for free and then just have the DLC or little skins and stuff, cosmetics, and trying for that. But in the end, without a publisher, not really.
So on the topic of publishers, we know we're being honest in this room, there are not a lot of game developers here in TNT, and we're hoping that we're going to see a change in that. We've seen an upgrade in a lot of the apps that we're able to access on our phones. Even the way we pay our bills has changed over the past few months. It changes, and we continue to see those changes. But for now, we're still focusing on exporting the content that we're creating. How do you suggest that someone grabs the attention of one of those publishers and say they're dreaming big? They want the Square Enix, they want the Ubisoft, they want the EA. How do they attract the attention of those publishers?
If I knew, I'd tell you. Because even the guy I'm working, he's in New Mexico. He's struggling to get the attention of different publishers. I mean, it's like on Steam, like there's thousands of games a month being added now. Like it's jumped exponentially. Everybody's vying for that thing. And then a lot of the indie games are making it now without a publisher and then getting a publisher due to how viral it went. So it's a deep blue sea of stuff.
But I do think, that is very dismal to think about.
Sorry, guys.
Let's just erase that last line. But to keep the optimism going, we do understand you are a walking testimony of starting in one place and that you may not see it, I know you may not see it, but you're starting in one place and you're moving along the way into a different zone, something that you may not have expected you would have done in the days of punk rock Andrew and Skid Novelli. Not thinking about, oh well, I am going to have commercials on the radio for companies and then be awarded for that. What words of encouragement would you give for anyone who's, you're still doing your music, just by the way, for anyone who's willing to jump out of themselves and try something else? That's something that I always vouch for. I think versatility and living outside of your own personal box is so important as a creative person, not to limit yourself to, I do this one thing and we're staying in this one thing. Maybe I have this innate idea that I would like to do something different. What encouraging words would you have for those?
I think anybody who wants to do it doesn't need the encouraging words, because I really, really love making music for film and games and ads. I don't think there's anything, I mean, because if you really are going to do it, because like, not to sound as dismal as I did a while ago, I mean, I'm not at the top yet, I'm on my way. So maybe a little later if you check me, I'll be like, yeah boy, let's do it. Go for it. But you know, at the moment I'm seeing the struggle in games especially. Now advertising, you know, that's, you can make a living off of that. Music for film, I'm only in the process of working on stuff with Lindsay, full circle. And I'm hoping to get to that point where I could compose to stories instead of products only. But right now I'm doing with games and getting my fix there. So again, I don't think I can encourage you. It's just something you want to do that you just can't help it. So. Yeah. I
think so. So you're saying you just have to want it enough and trust in your gut and go with it.
Yeah, and compose the wallpapers. That's how desperate you get, you know. But again, like the QTube, I highly recommend going there to just get stuff to practice with. And I mean, I've resorted to taking pieces of anime, re-editing it, muting it, and doing sound effects and voice from scratch, and then adding music on top of it. I recommend doing that, but you might get pulled on YouTube. One of my videos got pulled because it was like, but I'm like, everybody's posting their anime music videos to this. What's wrong with mine? Anyway.
Yeah, we had our whole conversation about copyright yesterday. And that being said, you know, as we're getting ready to wrap up, can you share with everyone here and those watching online how they can, because I mean, no, you may not want to hear it. Andrew's a very humble guy. We know this. If they want to hear what you have created so far, where can they find you? Where can they listen to everything that you've created so far to get an idea of where your journey has taken you from music to scoring to advertising and then into video games as well?
I have a website. I mean, one doesn't necessarily have to have a website. You can put your portfolio on YouTube and just tell everybody your YouTube link. But I opted for the website thing, swefsounds.com. I have voice stuff there, ad stuff there, game stuff there, and just stuff I've done. A lot of it leads back to YouTube anyway. So, yeah, that's another thing. Have a portfolio. It's so much easier when someone's like, "Let me see what you did," and just like go to this place and see all of it. Yeah.
Sure. We have a question?
Can you just spell the...
Oh, SWEFF sounds.com. I brought my card if you want it.
I'm sure everyone will want it because a lot of us are always looking for more opportunities and ways to stretch our wings. And thank you so much for chatting with us.
Thank you.
Of course, you're very loved and appreciated in this room. And thank you once again, MusicTT, for having us. Melissa, are we good on time?
Yes, we are.
All right.
Thank you so much. Lovely. So, like before, we have 3 questions available. Just show hands who wants to ask the questions and we will go in that order. Don't all rush at once. Come on. We have one here. All right, cool. We have one here. All right, so.
Hi, good afternoon. The choice you made from going from being a pioneer in the rock scene here to going into doing ads and now games, and do you ever feel like there's a part of you that wants to go back to starting bands, groups, etc.?
Yeah, I'm working on something else too. The band is always there if I get that itch again. But the getting out of here with the band, being seen, being in the right place at the right time for that big old, not like getting signed matters anymore really, but that dream, that can still happen. I'm not like, okay, I'm done with music. I miss performing live, and I'll do it when it comes around. COVID made me sleepy on it. I have another side project I want to do first. So no, I never let go of that anyway.
Right.
Yeah.
I was curious because I guess I know it never leaves.
Yeah.
It never leaves you. So I was just curious as to if, dabbling, making money in different lanes makes you ponder about, well, why couldn't I go back and do it the way I began? Because there is money there. We know that.
Yeah.
It's just like everything else, publishers, you need the ad money. So, all right, thanks for
Thank you.
answering.
Anybody else have questions? Yes. Ayana.
I guess I working for Reverb now.
Iana. Gosh, sorry.
It's okay.
Ilana?
It's Leander.
Leander. Oh my God. I am sorry.
It's okay. It's all good. I have two questions, if it's okay.
Cool.
One.
Speak into the...
Sorry, two questions, if it's okay. The first one is, what kind of timelines are you looking at when you're producing music for games? That's one. And the second is, in terms of monetization for games, is it set price or do you have royalties built in?
Okay, cool. Yeah. Wait, what was the first question?
Well, what are your timelines?
Oh, the timelines. Okay. I'm going to give a reminder on the second one after. So I've developed a really close relationship with my the developer I work with, and I'm in it from the get-go, right? And as each thing comes, okay, he'll be like, I'm working on this map, and I'll see the map, or what's the theme of the map, and I'll go from there, and then what sounds, what ambience do we need, as it comes. And I've recently been learning to use Unreal and adding sounds to it myself, so I can go in and set the levels myself and all that jazz. So the timeline is very loose. The game takes a while to make, especially if I have one guy working on the game. But so I haven't been to the big leagues yet where it's like, all right, cool, give us the music now, or give us the sounds now. So at the moment, it's nice and slow. So you got time, and you can even, because I have access to the engine now, I can go in and make tweaks and not bother him too. And, and then the other thing is the pricing. No, the developer sets that. I'm sure if you have a publisher, they'll set that. But the dude I work with sets his pricing. The last game we did was free to play and then just cosmetics. Because that's the thing you end up having to do when you don't have a publisher. If you don't put free to play, it's harder. The gate for people to come in and be like, I'm even going to bother try your game is gone if it's free to play. And then they'll be like, oh, I like this, I like that skin. And then you'll just be making on skins. Other than that, he's set our games to like 10 and 15 a couple times. Yeah. That's the other thing. Yeah, I was lucky too. He contracts and stuff, not my forte. Luckily, this dude took care of all of that, and we went with a royalty thing because he couldn't pay what it would take to do all those hours of music and sound and voice. So it's just off royalty. So I was just, it was the only way really to take the gamble, else he was just going to go and just get some library sounds and music, So I take the gamble with him. The upside is if the game does go viral, I'm getting royalties. The downside is I'm not getting what one would usually get for doing all that music and stuff. So, but I'm fine with it. I just hang out and make music for this game, and it's great.
All right. Well, okay.
Thanks for
Very
the question.
quick.
Okay. I'm a recording artist. I put out music. I always had an idea. No, my name is Madhead City. So I had the privilege of meeting some guys who were responsible for Candy Crush in the UK. Oh. And I had an idea of creating a video game where people could interact and like Call of Duty. Mm. And then years passed, then I seen it. So I have an idea and I want to bring this to you all. You all need for me, I want to present my songs with video games. Mm. So once you download the song, you get a game. I think that's the direction we should go. So everyone is on the phone. So you know it is you buy the whole song and then now you get a whole game with it so you can play and hear your music. So
Okay,
nothing wrong with throwing that out there.
of course.
You all should get involved. And how can we make this happen?
Dude, well, you're talking about phone games, yeah?
I'm talking about game
Just games in it.
on, because it has evolved. I was around guys who was responsible for Candy Crush. And imagine Candy Crush, and every time you get a prize, you hear your song come out. And to get to the highest level, you get like access to more things, to merch and all of that. And so that's merchandise, but packaged in a way where everyone will want to play, even your kids.
So that would be website, perspective, or app.
Yeah, I don't know.
No, well,
Yeah,
I think we have seen some of this in unusual ways, where some of our favorite artists, they've done it before. Look at Ariana Grande and Fortnite. It has happened. We have seen musical collaboration. Was it who was the other one with Fortnite as well? The rapper. Travis Scott, right? It was a live concert experience where you could have seen them perform their songs. And I know Ariana's, and she had her hammer, and she's singing God is a woman, and she breaks the glass ceiling. So she's bringing her brand into the video game. So your ideas are not far. It's a great idea. It is blending the two worlds together. So I may suggest building those relationships with those publishing companies
I've been trying to get developers here to like all come together and work on one game, but everybody's sort of like working their way into learning how to develop at the moment. Well, the people I've met.
I have an idea for a music video, and it's a game. So it's Madhead City,
cool.
a picture Call of Duty, where you go into
Okay,
different...
so unfortunately, I do have to
Thank
cut
you. I just went on there. All right.
Yeah, networking mixer. That's where you can talk about it. So thank you so much to Raihana and Raihana and Andrew for chatting with us on video games. Yes.